Alright, good morning everybody. Thought I would hop on here and just show you what I've been up to, which has not been a whole lot. Last night, last night, I left the safety of my town, which I regret doing. The place where I was at, we had office buildings, we had a Leland's, the Swartz, like 2 office buildings and a bunch of houses, which would have been perfect for experimenting with barricading, just all kinds of stuff. You know, barricading still broke, but there was a lot of potential there to explore and just kind of see how the game looks in that kind of urban environment. But I wanted to find a cabin. Now, prior to reaching that town, I did find the cabin. I did find one, and then I moved into the town. But I couldn't find my way back to my original cabin. So I said, you know, well, I just want to go and find a cabin and move out, see if I can find a farm and stuff like that. So I left the town, and I spent an hour just walking through the world. An hour. I picked just picked a direction, and I went, and I was following roads, and just kind of, I figured, you know, at the end of the road, there's supposed to be towns and stuff, you know, interconnecting the roads. And I found like 3 different cabins, but no towns. So I was like, oh my gosh. They really have things spread out. When you go traveling, you go traveling. So I found this cabin. Now I want to show you the first cabin I went to. This is where I first did my first barricading. It's not really a barricade, but it was with their barricade system. I made this little tiny ramp right here. And what I did was I just used it to kind of get up into the attic here. So I'm going to try again. Now, fortunately, it doesn't look like it has shifted. Most of the time, well, the first cabin that I went and made this little ramp, it had shifted up, and I couldn't even jump on it after leaving the game once and coming back. I could no longer get up here. So this looks like it's still there. So that's good. You know, one could hope that you know, barricading is improved and it's just me that's unlucky with barricading. But I can get up into the cabins, and that so far seems to be the easiest way for me to get up there. Just put a 4-piece plywood sheet, you know, made out of 4 2x4s, angle it, and then hop up. So I'm leaving a lot of this firearms here, this firepower, because I've already got my Vegas rifle. Plenty of ammo for it. I got lots of ammo for my sandstone rifle here, and I got some food, so we're good. But I just wanted to show you that's an easy way to get up here. I know a lot of people do like the flying plywood and things that I've tried, and I've never been very successful with different ways of getting up into the attic, but that little ramp seems to work the best for me. So I didn't realize I had left food here. I didn't check to see. I think we're duplicating still. I don't remember them mentioning anything about fixing duplicating items, but just based on that there, it's quite possible that we still get instances of duplicating items, which, you know, whatever. My son thought that was great. He said, awesome, why would you be upset about that? Well, I mean, you know, it depends on my experience, you know, what type of game you want. I think I came from that direction. So what I'm going to do is, I almost think I should just cut cross country and avoid the roads and just like northeast and run. Now, let's see what happens here. One thing that I did was I went to the blog, and there was a tweet by Jeff Keen, and he said, you know, it's one thing for like bugs and stuff. I guess he was getting a lot of this, but you know, he says that's great if you're going to tell me that you see floating rocks, but give us some information with that, like your seed, a location. You know, if you just simply say, hey, I found some floating rocks, that's not a bug report for him. Now, you know, this is like a paid early access, and so a lot of us aren't playing it to be, bug reporters, but if you do find something, let them know. So what I've done, I haven't minimized. I haven't pulled it up. I'm not going to show you, but what I'm doing is, if I find something really odd, is I actually do have a little Word document that I created. It's actually Notepad, and what I do is I just simply put the location, which it gives you right there in the upper right hand corner, X14, Y41, and I put in the Bannock Forest. And then if you push your tilde key to get the developer console, it'll tell you the seed that you're on. So my little sheet of paper has the seed number and the location, and then I just put like floating trees or whatever. And I'm not going to put every single thing. Like I've already put down several instances of trees growing on roads, just some weird anomalies that I've encountered. So I honestly didn't feel the need to have to report every single instance. I think, once they have enough of a certain type and they can go to the seeds in those locations and kind of get a feel for the problem, that'll just help them make changes. Now, this morning, I'm running into a lot of stuttering, and this might be a world refresh coming up. Last night I didn't even say world refresh, it's just stuttering up. Last night when I was playing, it ran really, really smooth, and this morning, because remember when I was doing my first impressions, I was saying I was getting like lots of stutter every once in a while. It really seems to be random. Sometimes I'll pop in and play, and there's like absolutely no issue whatsoever. The game just runs smooth and we're great. Other times I'll pop in and I just get this really crazy stuttering. I'll hit points where the game just like stops, but it doesn't say a world refresh. It just almost feels like build 12. I know that they've included a lot of optimizations, because I can only imagine what this would be like without the optimizations, with such detailed trees, the grass and stuff. And this is something I haven't done with you guys yet. I have not stopped just to look at the grass. Look at that. Oh, and look at the trees. Have a little bit of sway to them. What would be so cool is when they really start to implement weather effects. Oh, I was trying to go northeast. If you got different amounts of sway based on how much wind there was, that would be very cool. So if you had a really windy day, you'd have a lot of sway in your trees or a lot of sway in the grass. And let's take a look at some ground texture. Oh, as I get close, it fills in with grass. My view distance, draw distance for grass must not be very high. I haven't tweaked any settings at all. This is all just the default settings. Okay, it seems to be running a little smoother now. So I haven't tweaked anything yet. I've had some friends, they told me that they maxed out their settings and they did have some frame rate hits. But I just left this at default. This is just as it was when you fire up the new patch. And we're still, I know they said they were working on a hot fix. They haven't put it in yet. I just looked up in the corner. I guess I shouldn't expect a hot fix 2 or 3 days after release. That's wishful thinking. It's a good wish. So this is the problem I ran into before. Just picking a random. Here comes my first official world refresh. But this is what I did last night. Picked a direction and I ran, and I encountered nothing. So I'm telling you, this game will be very interesting when they really start to put some of the multiplayer improvements on. And I've shared comments with a few folks. Still waiting for the magic multiplayer upgrade where, great server stability, not a whole lot of lag, because this really lends itself to kind of that co-op feel, because the world is so big. it really lends itself more towards the cooperation aspect. Like when you run into another player, that's more of a, oh wow, there's somebody else here. I mean, when you hop onto a multiplayer server, yeah, you expect there to be other players, but because the world is so vast and you can travel so far and not encounter any kind of semblance of civilization, when you run into an actual player, that almost should be celebrated, like, wow, I found somebody. And I know they want to have things set up to where if you have like a buddy system, when you spawn into the world, you're near your buddy, so the world doesn't have to feel that alone. You got the coordinate system, so you can tell a friend where you want to meet up at. Hey, let's meet at X21, Y50. So there's things in the world that you can use to try and communicate. They have a chat system that seems to be global, if you want to talk to people. But honestly, if you just wanted to get into a game and play the lone survivor, this pretty much is it. When I've done multiplayer in the past, when everybody kind of spawns in, everybody spawns in relatively close to each other. But if you, at the onset of that game, just did like a Hunger Games thing and just picked a direction and ran, at some point you could just become completely lost and no one could ever find you. Like, you would have to go out of your way to be found by other players because the world is so huge. And the other thing I really, really like about it is because you play on these procedurally generated seeds, there's no similar layout from world to world, so you don't have to worry about telling folks, well, hey, I'm by the ranger barracks or I'm by the airport. So if you're looking for PvP action, like, you would have to really, really, really go out of your way to find somebody in this game just to shoot them in the face. Like, that would have to be your sole purpose in life, and that would really show you as being a sociopath, because this is not small maps designed for that. Now, I guess I shouldn't say a sociopath, but I mean, it almost feels like that. If you're going to pop onto this game where there's, people, but they're so far spread out, and people are just out trying to, find food. Like, look, we're 12 minutes in, and I have run pretty much in one direction, and we've encountered nothing. No zombies, no little shacks or buildings or anything. If I ran into another person just to shoot them, that's a problem. It really is. So this game has the PvP potential, but you can tell just by playing it, it's a simulator. It really is. And the reason why I've now decided to label this as a simulator is I've watched some more like E3 gameplay coverage, and they was it E3? Yeah, I think it was E3. Some videos I saw from E3, but they had the big stage and they put H1Z1 on it and whatnot. And as the Jimmy Wisenhunt was demonstrating the game, it really reinforced to me that the Dead Linger is the zombie simulation game that I want to play. H1Z1, I'm still looking forward to trying it out, but when they were showing like some of the crafting and stuff to it, it wasn't as detailed as this. Let me clarify what I mean by that. Now, the crafting is very detailed. What they showed was huge. There's no crafting per se in the Dead Linger other than some 2x4s and some plywood sheets. But here's what I mean. When Wisenhunt, or even if you do like Adam Clegg, another guy there on the H1Z1, I don't have a tree, but to demonstrate this, when they chop down a tree, okay, it's very cool. They go up, they chop the tree with their axe, and you can actually see the tree fall over properly. Hint, hint, Dead Linger, trees fall over when you chop them down. They don't sink into the ground. But they chopped the tree down, and what it did was it automatically harvested the logs into their backpack. And from the way that I see how they've done their inventory system is you have your squares, like they had a spot where it fit logs. But the thing is, the logs only took up 1 square. So if you had like 6 squares, you could potentially carry 6 different types of items. And it looked like there was really no limit on what you could carry except for the how many different types of things based on how many inventory squares you had. So if I had 6 inventory squares, I could carry like bandages, wood, a water bottle, you know, and then 3 other things. But it would be almost an infinite amount of cloth scraps, or, you know, there was really no limit. Whereas with the dead linger, I chop down a tree, I have to pick up the pieces of wood, and I have to manage my inventory. Like, why am I carrying 2 logs with me? If I need food, you bet I'm going to chuck those out and make room for the food. And when I pick up food, it's not, you know, I can carry 30 cans of beans all in one inventory slot. I have to manage where I put those cans of beans in my backpack because I really have limited space. Now, H1Z1 hasn't come out yet, and that's just the impression I got from the demo video they had. I almost want to go down there and hope there's like a farm or something, but I'm going to come up to the top of the hill. But it's more crafty simulation than, say, DayZ, but it's less of a simulation than H1Z1. And still looking forward to playing H1Z1, but I think the Dead Linger is still set up to give folks that actual zombie survival simulation. They have greatly improved the graphics. I mean, terrain-wise. I can't wait till we start to see better survivor textures coming in. And then the other argument is, but my gosh, Eddie, why does it take them so long to come out with updates? Well, you gotta remember, this is about as small a development community as you can get. I mean, it's a small company. They're doing what they can. This thing is like a labor of love. You know, they can't stop. This game is going to make or break their company, honestly. And from what I can tell, they want to be taken seriously as a game development company. So they have to continue working on this thing. They can't stop. See, I just stuttered because I had to draw on a bunch of trees. I wanted to come up here because at first I thought this might be clear, so I could look down into look upon the valley there and see if I could find farms or something like that. So I'm going to head more towards that valley. But but check this out, man. We've run 18 minutes through stuttering and forests and stuff, and we've encountered nothing. So this is a huge, huge world. And even if I was on a multiplayer server, like I said, don't expect action. You know, don't expect me hunting down players, because I probably would not find them. Like I said, when you initially spawn in, it looks like it groups folks. But if I just spawned into somebody's multiplayer world and then ran in a direction, unless I was chatting with folks and wanted to meet them, I probably would not encounter anybody. So let's follow these roads. There's like a bunch of roads. So I was really hoping roads would lead somewhere. Let me swap out to my scoped rifle here real quick. I got a really convoluted road system there. That didn't give me as much zoom as I hoped for. So we'll give this about another minute. Like, I really want to find a new spot to call home. I just don't think I'm gonna reach it this time. Let's see. Cause see, through the scope, I mean, I'm seeing different colors in the land here, so I'm hoping some of that might be field. But because I'm so far away and my draw distance is down, when I get there, it will probably be covered. I don't know what that is. Why is that funny color? But when I get close enough, it will probably fill in with trees, just because I don't have that draw distance put in. Now I know we don't have water, so I know that's not a lake. Guaranteed. I'm just curious why that's such an odd color. I was going to cut this off right at 20 minutes, but we're going to take it just a little bit longer because this has piqued my curiosity. I don't even check both ways to cross the road. I just go. And it looks like the sprint bug is still there, so even though my person is out of the lung icon here, out of breath, stamina, if I hold my shift, you can tell I still run a little bit. So that I'm not too upset about because the world is huge, and if I just walked, I would not get anywhere. Although I tell you though, like, part of me really wants to play this game to where that's all I do is just walk and only sprint when I have to get away from something, because that's how it should be. But when recording the videos, yeah, I gotta sprint for you guys. I know. Trust me, I'm actually happy enough that I would just walk to get places. I really, really would. That's how my mindset is. Like, when you put this as a simulator and not as like a PvP camp fest where you have to run everywhere, then I have no problem walking. I really don't. And we haven't really encountered too many zombies. When I first got to town, there were some zombies. I killed them. When I first spawned into this seed, there were herds of zombies. It was crazy, but I've moved out far enough that there really has not been too many zombies to worry about. So I could walk. Anyway, I'm just curious what that is. Why is that just a solid square of gray? And it hasn't really changed. Yeah, see, I'm getting me some stutter today. This is what I wanted to show you guys the other day when I did my first impressions, but it wasn't happening to me. Oh, it's because it's a world refresh. Alright, almost there. And it filled in. Crud. It's the side of a mountain. I was really hoping, when I first saw that the gray square that I was running to, I was hoping it was a field of corn that hadn't drawn in properly because of my draw distance. So I was really hoping that would be kind of at the bottom of the valley there, and there'd be a farm. Excuse me. We got some awkward roads. Now, I'm not going to write this down as a bug because I have already written down locations, some spots where the roads don't meet up proper. Let's turn the flashlight on. And like I said, I don't want to record every instance. I'm sure they're going to get lots of folks telling them what roads are bugged and messed up. Well then, that was uneventful, and there's nothing out there. So when we were playing the game before, this is a wrap up, since what I wanted to find turned out to be nothing. So here's a wrap up. I remember when we were playing build 12, build 13, it felt like you could run for a while and not run into anything, but you ran into stuff really quite often. We really did. Prisons, prisons next to towns, farms. There was all kinds of stuff. Now they've gone almost the extreme opposite. So now I have miles and miles of forest. So they're really, really proud of their trees, which I had to admit, what they've accomplished here, this is almost, well, it is. It's a test. And they've succeeded. They can procedurally generate a world and fill it with thousands of trees. And it works and it runs and the trees look good and every single tree is interactable. I can chop down any tree that I see and I can clear a forest. They have succeeded with that brilliantly. Their road generation system has improved quite a bit, but it still has a lot of issues. Road sections don't meet up always. Sometimes you get these weird convoluted diamond-shaped road patterns and things, and it just looks really goofy. But this is a successful test for them. With the next patch, the one that they're calling City Sirens, I think is what it's going to be called. I think we're going to see more closer, clustered civilization, if you will, because they're going to start building cities. And I think that's what's going to fill these huge gaps between places. Oh, here you go, guys. And blood spatter. There you go. What did I say? We haven't encountered any zombies or anything. And just for you. And there you go. So we spent 25 minutes running in approximately one direction-ish. We encountered our one zombie, no other signs of civilization, and it still looks bleak and desolate. So this is now a simulator for sure. If you were ever curious what the Dead Linger was about, this is a survival simulator, and it's really starting to show. Once they fix a couple more bugs, maybe add in a couple more places of civilization so it doesn't feel so sparse, I think they'll be onto something. And I tell you, I haven't seen a whole lot of item duplications yet. Like, that's one reason I've moved on trying to find other places, is because I gotta find food. As I eat food, I have to move on to get more food, because the food hasn't been duplicating for me like it has in the past. So I'm not gonna say duplicating is gone completely, but it has toned down quite a bit. So we're, even in this early alpha stages, we're now starting to see the survival simulation. So anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out and watching. I'm glad you got to see a zombie shot. But leave more thoughts and comments. I won't post another video again until I come across some civilization for you, because I really don't want to string together 3 or 4 30-minute videos of me just running through the forest. So you might not see anything for a day or two, because honestly it takes that long to find anything now. So don't worry, more Dead Linger coming. And if I do find another great spot of civilization, I probably won't leave it because it's really hard to find it. Anyway, take care everybody. We'll talk to you later.